Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 282 based on novel. So let's start. The guilt of fire, accept the punishment. Tan Chen stood at the top of the formation, looking down from a strong man, and slowly opened his mouth, surrounded by countless thunders, like a living thunder emperor. Thousand thunder slaughtering spirit formation is tyrannical, but your half-hearted 5-star Dozian initial strength can't last long. If Duan Tianhong is allowed to perform this formation, I have no chance of winning. It's a pity. The Huaxin envoy was trapped in the giant net of thunder. The evil power in his body was greatly reduced, and he could only barely use the power of fire to resist the power of thunder. What are the chances of Tan Chen's victory? Seeing that everyone was evenly matched, the palace master of the Ice Soul Palace couldn't help asking. I don't know, but I'm afraid it's difficult to defeat the Huaxin envoy. The owner of the auction house also said solemnly. Obviously, they all underestimated the power of the Huaxin envoy. Right now, we can only pin our hopes on Forgeblade Lei Jiyu and Tan Chen. The president of the mercenary guild also said helplessly. Thunder Valley of Forging Knife has cut off all contact, there should be traitors inside them, and now they are also in danger. Everyone couldn't help but said. Thousand Thunder Slaughtering Array, based on the power of thunder, purifies everything in the world. Thunder Prisoner. At this time, Tan Chen was tantamount to incarnating a real Thunder Emperor, with thunder in his hand like the most loyal minister, mobilizing at will. Boom. Following Tan Chen's words, in the Thousand Thunder Slaughtering Array, waves of silver thunders containing ancient fluctuations suddenly appeared, and then blasted away frantically at the crime of fire. Small tricks of eagles. Seeing this, the fire sinner forcibly endured the strong suppression brought by the power of thunder, snorted coldly, and dazzling flames spewed out. Crash. But at this moment, the flame power of the fire sinner just emerged, but it was weakened a lot, and when he first came into contact with the silver thunder, he was instantly swallowed by the silver thunder. Hey! The silver thunder devoured the flame power of the fire sinner instantly, so it roared away with a destructive momentum. A scream suddenly emerged from the mouth of the fire sinner, and then the silver thunder turned into countless tiny mysterious runes. In front of his body, a dazzling light burst out completely, and the evil blackness on the fire sinner's body was at that time. The fog kept making a piercing scream, and was quickly wiped out by the power of thunder. Bastard! The Huaxin envoy originally thought that Tan Chen wanted to use the power of the formation to imprison him, but how could he know that Tan Chen was using the power of the formation to completely obliterate the evil power in his body? And once the evil power in his body, if it is erased, the strength of his 5-star fighting immortal will also disappear. I won't give you this a chance. Huaxin made forcibly gritted his teeth, his pupils couldn't help turning red, and an extremely hot wave filled the air suddenly. Boom boom boom. After a short while, an explosion suddenly sounded, and the thunder rune was immediately shattered by it, and escaped the first round of attack. The fire sinner did not dare to take it lightly and ran away directly, he finally knowing that in the formation, he is definitely not Tan Chen's opponent. His top priority is to delay time. As long as Tan Chen's strength drops, the formation will naturally be self-defeating. And with his strength, although he can't beat Tan Chen who is in the formation, it is extremely easy to deal with it for some time. The battle on this side has fallen into a stalemate, but with the passage of time, the failure of the 8 powerhouses is probably only a matter of time. In the Thunder Pond. Duan Tianhong. It's all your fault. Soul Guard stood quietly in the sky, looking at Duo Tianhong who was bound to death. He couldn't help laughing. It's just a bunch of lackeys from the evil race from outside the realm. Duan Tianhong sneered. Running dog. Evil clans in the area, it's not worthy to bring shoes to our soul palace. To cooperate with them is just to get what we need. In the eyes of our soul palace, they are just a stepping stone on our way forward. Ads by Pub Future. As long as our soul palace's grand plan is successful, this great world will be ours sooner or later. Soul Guard said with a gloomy smile. By the way, you are the overlord of Dongju, and I haven't officially introduced you yet. I am the 5th Soul Guard of the Soul Palace, Soul Qianmo. Soul Guard smiled slowly. Soul Palace 5 Soul Guards. Duan Tianhong couldn't help but be surprised when he heard the words. Come in for me. At the next moment, before Du Tianhong had any reaction, Han Qianmo sneered and put his body into the ring in his hand. This kind of ring is a unique item of their soul palace, which can store living people, and is the only treasure for killing people and making money. Strange, that holy flame controller didn't fall. Looks like I have to go again. After doing all this, Han Qianmo muttered to himself, and then walked away towards Lei Kai. In the Thunder Pond, after a few days, the power of Xiao Yang's people also recovered to the peak, but there was no movement. Wong Buzz. Who? The next moment, a crack appeared in the inner space of the Thunder Pond, and a vague figure appeared. Feiya, come with me. Before anyone could react, an old giant hand appeared in the crack, and immediately grabbed Du Qifei's figure back. Senior mingling Lei Jiao. Xiao Yang was a little puzzled, but watching Du Qifei disappear, he didn't have much thought. Master, I have already done as you ordered, and then we will wait for our final counterattack horn. The void closed, and the underworld spirit Lei Jiao took Du Qifei quickly away from the Thunder Tomb, and left the Thunder Tomb directly. Xiao Yang, what should we do now? Yun Qi and Mu Ji said slightly, even they were helpless. Wait. Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly. Boom. Just as Xiao Yang's voice fell, a crack of thousands of meters suddenly appeared in the thunder pool, and in the crack, a spooky atmosphere suddenly emerged. This is defense. There is an enemy. The figure that just appeared was mingling Lei Jiao, so everyone didn't make a fuss, but this time it appeared, which made everyone's heart feel a touch of fear of death. Brat. Death to Benwei. And just after the Thousand Zhong Void was listed, suddenly a loud noise resounded through the entire thunder pool. Boom. As soon as the voice fell, a huge black hand the size of 100 meters suddenly emerged from the crack, and then roared towards Xiao Yang below. You stay here, don't run around. Xiao Yang said to everyone in a deep voice, and after a while, he was tightly held by the black giant beast and completely disappeared in this space. Forget it, just some ants. After Xiao Yang was captured, some sarcastic laughter came from the crack, and then the crack slowly closed, and the place returned to calm. However, all the contestants below felt that their legs were weak, and they slumped on the ground. They did not know from beginning to end what they experienced. Duo Tianhong and Xiao Yang were arrested by the 5 Soul Guard Han Qianmo, and the minds of the 8 major forces were restrained by the Hua Crime Envoy. Until now, Dongju has been in trouble, and I am afraid that it has really entered the white-hot stage. As for Duo Tianhong's plan, I am afraid that only he knows. Inside the Thunder Valley of Forged Knives. Damn. Who are you? You dare to break into the Thunder Valley of Forging Swords without authorization, so you are not afraid of attracting the wrath of the powerful people in our valley and leaving your corpses in different places. On a quiet path, a disciple of Thunder Valley Forging Swords was prostrate on the ground, staring at the few people in front of him with a puzzled expression. I don't know why, at this time, there was no trace of the top of the Forging Knife Thunder Valley, and even the valley was killed by these spooky figures. Rivers of blood had already flowed here, and the terrifying disciples looked at the strange figures in black robes and extremely powerful, and couldn't help but feel a hint of despair in their hearts. The strong people in the valley are angry? Ha ha ha. Don't say that you forge the Thunder Valley, even if they are themselves, they are unable to protect themselves, how can they take care of you? So, die. A sarcasm appeared in an instant, and then a sharp pitch-black chain suddenly appeared under the black robe of the man in black robe. Before any reaction from these disciples, the speed was so fast that it easily penetrated the roaring man. Is the soul power of the Emperor realm. One hit kills, and a black chain immediately drags out an extremely illusory energy body directly from the fallen man's body. Do you still want to run? With a cold snort, the black rune suddenly wriggled on the black robe chain, and then the soul body was completely captured by the black robe man. At this time, this scene is constantly being played out in the Thunder Valley. Asshole. Asshole. Bastard. In the knife forging hall, there were only a few figures standing here at this time, and the first among them were the current master and third master of the knife forging Thunder Valley. How is the situation in the valley now? Duo Tianheng, the leader, said with a gloomy look. At present, the top level of Forged Thunder Valley, the head and deputy head of the valley, and their 3 heads, only the big head Du Tianheng and the third head Du Tianfeng exist. As for the second head, they are the minions of the Soul Palace. Return to the master. Nowadays, many disciples in the valley have been slaughtered by mysterious powerhouses, and this kind of slaughter is extremely cruel. Du Laro, who was beside him, couldn't help but said with a solemn expression. How is our manpower now? Du and Tianheng asked. It seems that the main and deputy valley masters have entered the Thunder Tomb, and the second master has already defected, and even half of the elders in our sword-forging Thunder Valley elder seat are all chess pieces in the Soul Palace. Du Tianfeng on the side also said coldly. It seems that this time, we can only fight to the death. Du and Tianheng's pupils flickered with a heavy look, obviously where he would have expected today. Master, stay safe. Not long after, the main entrance of the knife-forging hall was suddenly blown away by a huge force, and suddenly 5 figures walked in slowly. You still have the face to come back. The 5 of us are brothers and sisters, but you betrayed us and plunged into the Soul Palace. It's really disappointing. Duan Tianheng looked up, his brows wrinkled, and the dazzling killing intent filled the air. Hehe, 3rd brother, 5th brother, why are you still brooding about it at this time? Those who know the current affairs are handsome. The man walking towards him grinned. Stop talking nonsense, do it. Arrest them all, remember to arrest them alive. A black mist behind him also said. 4-star Doshin late stage? 5. The next moment, Duan Tianheng's expression also became solemn. The opponent has 5 4-star fighting immortals, and there are only 3 on their own side. As for the other powerhouses, they were scattered by Du Tianheng to rescue the disciples inside the Thunder Valley. Boom. The battle is about to break out. In another place, at the height of Lei Cheng, the battle between the 8 powerhouses and the Huaxin envoy had obviously entered the white-hot stage. This bastard. Tan Chen, who is in the Thousand Thunder slaughtering array, although his strength has soared to the level of the early stage of the 5-star fighting immortal in a short time, and he controls thunder, is a genuine Thunder King, but the Fire Sin envoy is not a vegetarian. On the Fire Sinister, flame power and evil power continued to emerge, and in the face of Tan Chen's wave after wave of tyrannical attacks, they were cleverly avoided by him. It seems that your strength is also slowly going downhill. It seems that he noticed that in the formation, the power of the earth-shattering thunder has been significantly weakened, and Huaxin made his body stop slightly. Then he said with a smile on his face. Thunder Pillar. In the face of the sarcasm of the Fire Sinner, Tan Chen also ignored it. As many as 8 colors of energy were squirming in his body, and then with the power of silver thunder, it directly turned into a 9-color thunder beam, with an indescribable light. It fluctuated and whizzed away, but several other strong men saw the sweat droplets on Tan Chen's forehead, the size of water droplets, constantly emerging. Obviously, today's Tan Chen also has nothing to do with Huaxin. This is the end. We're not reconciled. And the other 7 powerhouses clenched their fists tightly at this time. Once Tan Chen fails, I am afraid that what awaits them next will be the end of the world. Boom. The dazzling power reverberated in the formation. This time, Huaxin made no attempt to escape, and stood calmly in the sky, allowing Lei Yizhu to attack. Crash. The power contained in the Thunder Pillar should not be underestimated. Just touching the body of the Fire Sinister, a shrill current squirmed on top of his body, even because of the limit of that energy expansion, causing the formation space has become restless. Evil. Soul. Overturning the sun. And Huaxin's face was not very good-looking. He forcibly endured such a tyrannical attack, and suddenly a roar emerged, and as the roar emerged, suddenly in the formation space, a monstrous evil the aura emerged along with the rising flames, and then merged directly under the astonished eyes of everyone, turning into a red-black evil aura that suddenly spread out. Boom. The tyrannical force made the two directly stalemate. And when the two were fighting so hard, a figure rushed towards here. Senior. After the Soul Guard captured Xiao Yang, he didn't think much of it. He directly sealed Xiao Yang with the same tyrannical seal that bound Du Tianhong, and then threw the 2 of them into the special acceptance ring. Does it feel strange? Duan Tianhong slowly closed his eyes, and then communicated with Xiao Yang using his soul power. This time, I'm afraid it will be Dongzhou's trouble. Xiao Yang responded. Forget it. But I didn't expect that Sin would actually join forces with Soul Palace. But now, the powerhouses of Sin and Soul Hall may have already attacked Lei Cheng and Forge Thunder Valley. Duan Tianhong said. Now what should I do? Xiao Yang couldn't help but wonder. Don't worry, now that my body is healed from a dark disease, and with the return of Lei Di's scepter and my mount, at my true peak, the 2 5-star fighting immortals are also enough to fight. Duan Tianhong said with a smile, as if the winning ticket was in hand. Qi Fei was taken away by senior mingling Lei Jiao just now. Should it be Jiu Master's intention, right? Xiao Yang asked tentatively. That's right. Extraterritorial Evil Clan and Xinji are still worried about me killing the Burning Soul Clan, but I, Du Tianhong, aren't planning on them, and the reason why I do this is to kill them all. After Duan Tianhong finished speaking, he slowly calmed down, but Xiao Yang could sense that Duo Tianhong's aura in his body had recovered as before, and even his strength was far beyond the comparison of an ordinary 5-star fighting immortal powerhouse. Boom. At this time, in the core area of Dongzhou, above the vast territory of Lei Cheng, people were already panicking, and millions of people stared at the sky with dull eyes. Tan Chen, It seems that all his hopes are pinned on him. Most of these millions of people are of mediocre strength, and they are only in the ranks of Dodi, but to Dongju, it is extremely fresh blood, because Dongju heaven and earth is full of spiritual energy, and among the millions of people, it is inevitable that some geniuses will emerge. And these geniuses are undoubtedly the strong backing of Dongju. Crash. Above the sky, the red and black aura suddenly spread out in the thousand thunder slaughtering array, directly obliterating the heaven-shattering thunder pillar. Go! What an evil wave! If it is spread out by this fluctuation, I am afraid that the millions of people in Lei Cheng below will be assimilated into members of the foreign evil clan. In the aura, there is too much evil power, even their 4-star fighting immortal strength is extremely uneasy, not to mention the people below. Hey! A powerless sigh slowly emerged from Tan Chen's mouth, apparently gathering the power of the 8 strong men and the great defense formation, still unable to stop the progress of Huaxin Envoy. At this moment, watching the scene in front of him that the situation has gone, made Tan Chen feel a sense of frustration in his heart. Dongju. It's really a charming place. Let me, this old bone, do the last thing for you. After Tan Chen finished speaking, the dazzling fighting spirit and soul power all over his body suddenly soared, a majestic force that made the space feel uneasy, permeating the entire formation. The corners of the mouth showed a gratifying arc. The formation was originally due to the decline of Tan Chen's strength, and it was vaguely about to fall off the 5-star fighting immortal, which made it extremely illusory. Now, it was touched by the actions of Huaxin Envoy and Tan Chen, and it immediately shattered and opened. This is, to self-destruct. Without the obstruction of the formation, the red and black aura on Huaxin's body squirmed rapidly, and in an instant it roared away at the millions of people below, but it was strangely surrounded by Tan Chen. The fluctuations of, which seemed to be not simple. Brother Tan, you can't. Although the other 7 minds gave Tan Chen their power to cause their own aura to be sluggish, but at this moment, facing Tan Chen's righteousness, they couldn't help but be moved. Able to reach the strength of the 4-star Do's Yan level, they are the real superpowers above Dongju, and being able to let these superpowers sacrifice their lives for righteousness is enough to show the hatred of foreign evil races. In the ghost world, ghosts are born aborigines, and the basic form is mainly the soul flame, 3 souls and 7 souls, but after the First World War, the population of the 7 worlds was also scattered around, and the ghosts of the sky were scattered. It is not only an extremely large territory in the ghost world, but also extremely suitable for human survival. Therefore, in the ghost world, ghosts are extremely rare, while the proportion of humans is surprisingly high. I am tall. Tan Chen's pupils were filled with resolute perseverance, and then his pupils became deep, and an extremely terrifying flame suddenly filled the air. Cremation, heavenly soul. A cold snort, suddenly with a dazzling wave of destruction, abruptly drifted out from Tan Chen's body, condensing his own dazzling flame-fighting spirit and self-destruction of soul power. Its power is no trivia. Boom. A circle of red ripples, like a tide, spread out from the sky of Lei Cheng in an instant. At the same time, the red and black aura around the fire sinner was also swallowed by the red energy ripples. Dissolving. This bastard. I actually used the power of self-destruction to try to stop me. Seeing this, the Huaxin Envoy could only avoid the edge for a while. After all, at this time, Tan Chen's self-destruction of the power of 5-star fighting immortals, even he did not dare to take it lightly, but there was also a burst of remorse in his eyes. Obviously, the red and black energy was motivated, but for him, it was a lot of consumption. 5-star fighting immortal level, full of the soul power of the Fairyland, such a waste, can't do it. Just when Tan Chen's body was just transformed and self-destruction began, a crack of thousands of meters above the sky above Lei Cheng appeared, and then the crack appeared. Among them, a very special power emerged, bursting towards Tan Chen directly under the gaze of everyone. It was a milky white spot of light, which seemed to have no power and was extremely gentle, but after touching Tan Chen's body suddenly shook, and even the violent fighting spirit in his body and the power of the soul, it became quiet in an instant. Damn it! Tan Chen, who already had a sense of righteousness, suddenly became condensed, and a touch of unease emerged, because at this moment, the fighting chi and soul power in his body were temporarily sealed, and with the sealing, self-destruction was also don't stop. Fortunately it came in time. If such a good soul power explodes, I am afraid that this trip to Dongju will lack some good things. Amidst the cracks of thousands of feet, a figure walked out on foot. The figure was dressed in black robes. Any breath is just a cloud of black fog, but this black fog just exists, but it carries a strong sense of oppression that is not lost to the fire sinner. Golem. Another 5-star fighting immortal. After noticing this scene, The 7 powerhouses below couldn't help swallowing a sip of saliva with difficulty. Soul Qianmo? Why are you doing this? Seeing that Hun Qianmo stopped Tan Chen's self-destruction, Huaxin Envoy snorted coldly. Although we are a cooperative relationship in this plan, we promised to promise us the things of the Soul Palace, but we must not break our promises. As for this guy, his soul power is useful to us, and we can't kill it. Black Mist Soul Qianmo said very plainly. Humph. Your matter, resolved. Huaxin Envoy couldn't help frowning, holding back the anger in his heart, and then asked. After all, the strength of the Fire Sinner is only in the early stage of the 5-star fighting immortal, and this Soul Palace 5 Soul Guard is the real middle stage 5-star fighting immortal. With a thud, the black mist didn't respond, and when he threw it away, Xiao Yang and Duo Tianhong's bodies immediately appeared in everyone's sight. Forged Knife Thunder Valley Master? Master of the Holy Flame? Looking at the two in front of him, Huaxin couldn't help but feel a little fiery in his heart. The main body of the sword-forging Thunder Valley is sealed with the origin of the king of the Burning Soul clan. As long as he is obtained, then resurrection is naturally not difficult, and Xiao Yang is the controller of the Holy Flame, which is a deadly threat to the evil tribes outside the territory. Their sins must be only by arresting them and suppressing the holy flames through special means can the number of holy flames be reduced. In the Great Thousand World, there are a total of 36 holy flames, and every time one is reduced, the odds of winning the extraterritorial evil race will increase a lot for the next world war. Everyone is here. Looking at Huaxin Envoy and Hun Qianmo, Du Tianhong also opened his eyes slightly and laughed, and even in that body, there was a tyrannical force as if a giant dragon had awakened. Breath, slowly emerging. Du Tianhong, are you frightened and confused? Huaxin Envoy sneered when he noticed Duo Tianhong who was being restrained in front of him. They don't know Duo Tianhong's specific strength, but his strength is also difficult to find among the 5-star fighting immortals, but he is restrained by the origin of the Burning Soul Clan king in his body, and he is sealed by the soul, so this guy's strength is in strong, but also useless. This guy is dying. Hun Qianmo also sneered, not taking Du Tianhong in the slightest. What the is going on here? The 8 minds on the side looked at Du Tianhong, who was bound to death, and couldn't help but wonder. Since everyone has arrived, then I don't need to cover up. This farce, it's time to end. After a while, Duo Tianhong in the sky suddenly laughed slowly, and an extremely tyrannical wave suddenly appeared. This is. Although Huaxin Envoy and Hun Qianmo were extremely confident in their strength, at this moment, their eyes kept beating, and something was wrong. Do you really think my Dongju is a place that anyone can trample on? Do you really think that when you sent people to mix into Dongju, we didn't notice it in Thunder Valley? Do you really think that you are the traitors you arranged in the Thunder Valley of my blade forging? Don't we know? A sneer slowly emerged from Du Tianhong's mouth. Not good. He's about to break free of the seal. Hun Qianmo, look at what you've done. Huaxin Envoy shouted angrily, his voice full of urgency. With the sudden change of the black mist in the sky, the blood-colored chains that bound Du Tianhong, as if withered, easily turned into bursts of powder and dissipated in the sky. His hair turned silver in an instant, and on his body, pieces of silver thunder appeared, and then under the watchful eyes of everyone, they merged into their skin, forming silver armor and silver gold cloak. Above the silver armor and silver gold cloak, a flash of thunder slowly appeared, forming a series of extremely obscure and ancient runes. Under this terrifying blessing, Duo Tianhong's strength was undoubtedly magnified several times. Retreat. Seeing this, the Huaxin Envoy suddenly shouted, and then fled together without turning back, and many evil cultists shot directly at the outside. The escape route in all directions, but just after leaving dozens of meters, crashed into invisible thunder energy barriers, and even some criminal guards who were only 2-star Dozian were directly destroyed. Above the energy barrier. Damn. I've hit it. Huaxin Envoy couldn't help but snorted coldly. Next, let's count the old and new hatreds over the years. Duo Tianhong, like a thunder emperor, narrowed his eyes slightly, and a dangerous aura filled the entire sky. Countless thunders filled the sky above Lei Cheng in an instant. It seemed that because Duo Tianhong displayed his absolute dominance, countless thunders were calling and cheering, as if celebrating their king, returning. Go. Kill him for me. Huaxin Envoy snorted coldly and said to many criminal guards in the dark cloud. Guju, these little ones, leave them to us. Seeing this, the other 8 strong men gathered around them one after another. I'm afraid this is the real duel. Xiao Yang was also rescued by Tan Chen and took him aside, and then he squinted slightly at the shocking battle in the sky. Knife forging Thunder Valley Master, it's really a brilliant method. Hun Qianmo's expression changed, and he looked at Du Tianhong with resentment. Originally, all these victories were in their hands. Their Soul Palace cooperated with Sin, and Sin collected Du Tianhong and the controller of Shenyang that they needed. As for all the remaining creatures in Dongju, Sin was responsible for killing and the soul body belonged to Soul Palace. A perfect deal. But who would have thought that all this was actually Duo Tianhong's plan? Your plan is very good, deceived my men and all our eyeliners. Duan Tianhong's name really deserves to be a strong man who has hunted and killed the Burning Soul clan. The Hua Xin envoy on the side also shook his head slightly, his eyes fixed on the Thunder Emperor-like Duo Tianhong. Each other. Next, there is an important part. Duan Tianhong said slightly, unmoved. Your plan is perfect, but you forgot one thing, relying on one person to deal with 2 5-star fighting immortals. This will be your plan, the real dead end. As long as the 2 of us defeat you, the difficulty of this eastern continent will still fall completely. Hun Qianmo smiled gloomily. Very smart. So, who is stronger or weaker? Now is the final battle, let's do it. Duo Tianhong didn't seem to have any fear, he hummed suddenly, and the power of thunder suddenly emerged. Hua Guisha, start and kill him together, otherwise we will both explain it here today. Hun Qianmo gave a strange smile. Crash. As soon as the voice fell, the 3 figures suddenly flew into the sky, rising to an altitude of tens of thousands of meters. After all, the battle of the 5-star fighting immortal powerhouse is far from comparable to ordinary powerhouses. Soul. A strange roar suddenly emerged from Soul Qianmo's black robe, eerie, making people shudder. Sea of fire. And Hua Xin envoy also frowned, and his whole body burst out in an instant. Lei Lai. Duan Tianhong, as the overlord of Dongju, was completely in control of the entire Lei Cheng at this time, and he had a panoramic view of every move. He called out slowly, and the Lei Di scepter also burst out in an instant, with the stalks of silver thunder appeared suddenly, and even above the silver thunder, there were countless mysterious fluctuations. No one had ever seen this level of thunder power before. This guy. Sure enough, he left his hand. Seeing Duan Tianhong's move, Hun Qianmo said coldly, Blood Soul Guard. A loud shout suddenly sounded, and then in the height of tens of thousands of meters, the space and airflow trembled slightly, and the gloomy power and strange roar of Soul Qianmo gathered a little space in an instant at that time. A shocking blood shadow with a size of 100 zhong slowly appeared. Hu ho ho. The blood-colored giant shadow, like a demon giant, is full of small soul fluctuations and destructive power on its strong and powerful limbs. It seems to have the power to collapse a mountain. Above, it's terrifying. A soul creature based on the power of the soul. Xiao Yang's huge soul power is closely watching this battle, because a battle of this level will naturally benefit him a lot. Blood Soul Guard, attack. Looking at the evil giant behind him, Soul Qianmo sneered, his eyes fixed on Du Tianhong. Sea of fire. The fire emissary didn't stop either. The dazzling flame suddenly filled the entire space, and it was filled with an extremely terrifying fluctuation. However, Xiao Yang noticed that the flame on the fire emissary was far from ordinary flames, seemed to be among the heavenly species. Boom. Hua Xin envoy in the early stage of 5-star fighting immortal and Soul Qianmo in the middle stage of 5-star fighting immortal fought against Dongzhou's overlord Duo Tianhong. The real battle started slowly. Boom. After Hun Qianmo's order, the huge body of the Blood Soul Guard forced Du Tianhong step by step. The fierce and terrifying aura actually caused blood ripples to appear in the sky. Facing the fiery sea of fire sinners and the blood and soul guards of Soul Qianmo, Duo Tianhong stood quietly in the sky. His silver armor and silver gold cloak exuded tyrannical fluctuations, and the Lei Di scepter in his hand also burst out. Shine brightly. Ronglei cloak. Fire royal armor. And Lei Di scepter. And the strong men below also easily subdued the other sinful accomplices, slowly watching the shocking battle in the sky, and couldn't help exclaiming. The master of the forged knife Thunder Valley loves weapons alone, and has devoted his life to researching, casting and collecting weapons, and the 3 weapons on his body are enough to rank among the 5th-grade fairy weapons. In line with the strength of his own 5-star fighting fairy, it is more than enough to deal with 2 strong men of the same level. Ronglei. As the silver thunder around him became more and more dense, Du Tianhong suddenly hummed, and the silver gold cloak behind him shook, and the tyrannical suction force couldn't help bursting out, overwhelming the sky and the earth. Thunder gathered directly towards the cloak. Crash. After a few breaths, silver currents flowed around in the thunder-melting cloak, just like a natural defensive barrier. as expected of a 5th-grade immortal artifact. When the other powerhouses saw this, they couldn't help but exclaimed. The melting thunder cloak can form the most perfect defense by absorbing the power of thunder, which is difficult for even the same level of power to crack. As for the royal fire armor, it is a tyrannical armor that can isolate most of the flame power, and after testing, Duo Tianhong was pleasantly surprised to find that the flame that the armor can isolate is even enough to isolate the fire of the heavens, but it is only suitable for saints. Inflammation, I am afraid that the power will be greatly reduced. What the is this guy doing? Hun Qianmo's controller pressed the Blood Soul Guard step by step. When he saw Du Tianhong's cloak suddenly absorbing the power of countless thunderbolts, he felt a sense of unease in his heart. This kind of defense, I am afraid that the Blood Soul Guard is also difficult to crack. Hu Guizhi, you can't keep your hands. Go all out. At the next moment, as Du Tianhong's silver armor flickered strangely, Hun Qianmo suddenly felt the pressure greatly increased, and hurriedly shouted. The baptism of fire. The power of heaven. Rose flame. A low shout sounded immediately, and the entire sky was suddenly completely replaced by a strange yellow flame. The yellow flame just appeared, and suddenly in the sky of Lei Cheng tens of thousands of meters, it evolved into a round of yellow scorching sun, yellow flames, filled with earth-shattering breath. It's actually a great celestial seed, a rose flame. Xiao Yan couldn't help but feel a little fiery as he looked at the incomparably bright scorching sun above the sky. Although the power of the big and small heavenly seeds is not as tyrannical as the holy flame, it is also a great increase for ordinary people. Take the blood as the lead, and the soul as the sacrifice. Blood Soul Sky Blast. Hun Qianmo didn't dare to neglect, he spoke slowly, his voice was full of unquestionable majesty, and then under the black mist, a drop of scarlet blood emerged and silently fell into in the body of the Blood Soul Guard. Boom. Originally, the power of the Blood Soul Guard was extremely terrifying. After all, it was a soul creature formed by soul power. When it was so stimulated at this time, it immediately became angry, and an abnormally violent aura slowly emerged. If that's the case, let's take a single blow and solve it completely. Seeing this, Duo Tianhong also showed a rare smile on the corner of his mouth. Obviously, at his level, because he has too many things to consider, he can fight with an equal opponent. A great honor. Ronglei cloak, open. A roar emerged, and the cloak behind him suddenly fell off, and then instantly formed a 1,000-jong-sized thunder silver mirror. In the silver mirror, densely packed thunder runes wriggled. This level of defense, obviously even the real 5-star fighting immortal cannot be cracked. Fire royal armor. Zaidu snorted coldly, and suddenly the silver armor on his body slowly burst out with bursts of mysterious runes, which abruptly wrapped his body completely. With this kind of protection, even if it is a fire crime even with the power of the great heaven seed, it cannot cause too much damage. Lei Di Scepter. Thunder Seed. Baron. A deafening voice, like an enraged emperor, fell vertically from the sky, causing the thunder and the energy of heaven and earth in the entire space to quiet down. Wong buzzing. The voice just fell, and a trace of grey thunder suddenly slowly emerged from the depths of his body, and then under the eyes of everyone, it merged into the Thunder Emperor's scepter. With this fusion, Lei Emperor Quan inside the stick, there seems to be some ancient pattern that spreads out. Big heavenly seed. Desolate. It is said that this was a very sought-after treasure on the eastern continent back then, but unexpectedly it fell into Duo Tianhong's hands. Next, I'm afraid it's time for a decisive victory. The 8 leaders nodded slowly and spoke solemnly. They knew that this battle would determine the fate of the entire Dongju. Ha ha ha. The overlord of Dongju really lives up to its reputation. However, I want to see whether it is your power of thunder that is tyrannical, or whether our power is even better. Hun Qianmo and Huaxinji changed their expressions at the same time. The bomb-like Blood Soul Guard blasted away at Duan Tianhong. There is no doubt that the attack power of the two should not be underestimated. With the two unmatched tyrannical attacks, Duo Tianhong did not retreat, because he knew that if he retreated, the entire Thunder City would suffer. Such a terrifying attack could easily wipe out the entire Thunder City. Silence. Thunder Punishment. Duo Tianhong's vindictive energy and soul power appeared in an instant, and then the Lei Di scepter in his hand suddenly swelled hundreds of times, with a grey color that punished all things in the world. Thunder beams, floating and appearing. The grey thunder light beam just appeared, and suddenly the khaki scorching sun and the Blood Soul Guard in the sky couldn't help but tremble. Blood Soul Guard. Rui Yang. Hun Qianmo and Hua Xin Envoy shouted loudly. The aura in their bodies was suddenly pushed to the limit, and they attacked directly at Du Tianhong. They knew that Duo Tianhong was too strong at this time. Stop it, I am afraid that waiting for them is the end. Boom. In an instant, a grey thunder beam scattered and cut through the space, and then completely collided with the flaming sun and the bomb-like Blood Soul Guard. The energy ripples that destroy all things are also spreading like tides. The entire space suddenly became fragmented. This video will end here.